Hey guys, Kelade here. Welcome to my Imonar the Soulhunter kill/commentary video. For this fight, we're just going to charge in and we're going to pop our cooldowns. There's no real reason to hold our cooldowns, and you pretty much for the entirety of the fight, just treat it as a target dummy and you pretty much pop your cooldowns whenever you do have them ready. And then as far as for talents, we're going to go with a single target talent setup. In this Rage, Double Time, Avatar, Battling Stride, Frothing Berserker, Bloodbath, and Reckless Abandon. For gear and legendaries, we're going to go with the Pants and the Massacre Ring legendaries. For trinkets, I'm using Convergence and Casquath, but, you can pick whatever works best for you there. As far as for the first phase of the fight, the first 20%, the only mechanic that we have to deal with as melee is just the sleep canisters, right? You can see the rogue running out over there with it. Unfortunately, right, we're not one of the melee classes that can immune it, right? If you look at the raid comp that we have 3 rogues, we have a DK, we have a Ret Paladin, and then we have 2 warriors. Everybody else, except for the warriors, they can immune it in some way, right? You can do Cloak of Shadows, you can bubble it, you saw the Paladin just do, and then you can even have, the DK is going to do it right here, he's going to do an anti-magic shell right here to immune his, right? Unfortunately, as warriors, we just have to take ours out. There's no way for it to immune it. But luckily, what we do get is, we can leap over everything on the bridge, so as long as, we land past the mechanic, if we just travel over them, we won't trigger it as a warrior. And then also right here, you see that our prop paladin and our rogues are just walking up and they're soaking the mechanics. That way, there's a clear path for the rest of the raid to run through. If I don't need to, I won't leap over something. Especially if I know somebody's triggering it, right? Because there is an AOE when somebody triggers something and you don't want to leap over them as they're triggering. So that is one thing you want to watch out for. You're trying to leap over those mechanics, making sure that you're not leaping over somebody as somebody is clearing it, right? Once here, we're on the phase 2 part of the fight. We just stay on either blue or circle, and then when the mines spawn, we move to the other side. You can see that our warrior goes over there and he pops all the mines, and then, clears it for us, and when we get mines on this side again, we'll move back over there. And then in regards to when should you use your cooldowns, pretty much like I mentioned earlier, in the beginning of the video, you just use your cooldowns whenever. Just know that the boss transitions every 20% of his HP, right? So 80%, 60%, 40%, 20% is whenever the boss is going to cross a bridge, right? If the boss is at 20%, at 21%, 41 or whatever, if he's super close transitioning, yes, you shouldn't use every single cooldown you have there because you'd be wasting a little bit. So when you get a charge blast, I just take it out of the group. Then I try to charge at the end of it just to, cut down some time. But essentially, if I want to cut even down more time, I could have leaped out at the last second. But I wanted to save leap for the transition phase that's happening right here. So I want to make sure that I have this for this part. And then for this part, we're just going to group up right here. Our tank is going to bubble and he's going to go along the path and just trigger every single mechanic that's in our way. And we're just sitting here with all of our healing cooldowns, just sit here and get healed up. And once they give the go to, we all click this lock gate and we go. Fortunately, it takes me a while to click on this lock gate and go, but once you get over there, right, I generally do it once I'm just a little bit more halfway, when I can just leap past every single mechanic, I'll leap, and then I'll charge up, just start DPSing again. A big thing here is that you want to make sure that if the boss hasn't been interrupted yet, don't pop your cooldowns, because the boss takes drastically reduced damage, right? You definitely do not want to be popping your cooldowns, on the boss while he's still channeling the ability. Sometimes you might not even want to hit the guy because sometimes, because you haven't been in combat for such a long time, it could be somewhere between 20-30 seconds depending on how fast your raid crosses the bridge. A lot of times when you come back and you charge a boss, all your stuff is going to proc, right? All of your Casgaroths, your Concordance, right? A lot of things are going to be proccing when you first get over there. So you want to be careful and, don't start DPSing him too early because he's taking super reduced damage, and you don't want to waste any of your cooldowns on that. So once again, from this point on, we're always going to be worrying about sleep canisters, right? Still, right? We're still going to making sure that we get over there. And then now there's always going to be mine spawning. So, ideally, if we do it well, we should be, stacking, moving it around. But, it does get messy on this fight a little bit. And our melee is kind of all over the place. And it's kind of just on us to make sure that we're not on a mine. But this crossing the bridge to, this other platform here is pretty much the same as before, right? Your rogues and your tanks are going over there and clearing up all the stuff. I'm going to leap over there, and I'm just sitting here waiting. When somebody said interrupt, right, we're going to go and interrupt the boss, and then, continue DPSing. So it is okay if you're going to go on the guy and you're going to start building a rage. I think that's fine if you don't have rage, or if you're just taking too much damage while you guys are crossing the bridge, and you know you need to run up there in rage run and bloodthirst and heal yourself, that's totally fine too. In regards to like DPSing the boss too early. So I don't know like what's so there's nothing like too specific about this part. Just the sleep canisters. It just needs to be like the rest of the group needs to know where the melee are taking it. Unfortunately, the melee we're supposed to take it to the opening of the bridge, but there's a couple range there, and you guys will see there. I'll go there eventually, and they'll end up getting stunned, so or slept. So I highly recommend when you're doing this fight to use the /10 range indicator, right? And then, you know, look on the right side when everybody is gone. I'm telling my healers, okay, you can dispel me now. But unfortunately, when I told them that, somebody else walked right back into it, and he got stunned. But that's it's pretty much on him to not walk back into somebody that's sleeping. Yeah, getting close here. And then a big part of this fight for Few Warriors is definitely the execute phase that we're gonna happen, right? Because when you go to the last platform, right, it's all execute, right? Once you get over there, you can pretty much start executing it right away. And just do remember that this guy, like, he doesn't, while he's crossing the bridge, he's not immune. So if you ever like, oh man, like I'm gonna end my back where and my bloodbath thoughts are gonna be wasted. Not necessarily. He doesn't become immune like until he gets over there and he starts channeling conflagration. So it's okay if he's leaping away right after you did your burst window. He'll still be ticking down from damage, you know, as he's flying across the bridge. So right here, execute phase, right? This is where our DPS comes from. Essentially, if you want a really good parse on this fight, you just have to hope that you don't get sleep canister here, and unfortunately, I do. So that's one thing that's really out of your hand. The best thing you can do is to make sure that you're watching out for other DPS and especially other melee. If they get slept in melee, try to make sure that you're moving far away from them. That way you don't get slept when they get the spell. Right here, I'm watching for everybody, and the instant that the rogues are out of my range, tell them to dispel me. Luckily, I didn't drop my Juggernaut stacks. We were still able to keep them up, but you know the damage has already been done, right? Because it's really just this is the part of the fight where your DPS goes up, you know, like 20, 30, even 40. Sorry, 200, 300, or even 400k DPS just increase just from the execute phase alone. But it's a relatively short fight, I think, once you get a hang of it, because it's chopped up into such small portions, right? There's 5 phases, essentially, and then each phase 20% of the HP. It passes by pretty quickly. You pretty much get like 2 battle cries for every single phase. And then if you're lucky, if you get 3 battle cries in your execute phase, right, that's where you can start doing really, really well. But that's it for this fight. Feel free to subscribe to see more. Yeah.